Back. So we were in the middle here of this unit circle. Let me get a new one here. Let's see, boom, right there. This full screen. Okay, so we got this unit circle, and we got our 0 radians. We rotate 0 degrees or 0 radians. Got the 0.10. Got 90 degrees, 90 degrees, or pi halves. Or I should say pi halves. We got the 0.01, point -10 for pi, or 180 degrees. We got this 3 pi halves here, rotate 3 pi halves, or 270 degrees. Of course, your point there is 0, -1. And then we did 30, we did 15 more, so we went to 45 degrees. We went 15 more to 60 degrees. So this was it. This was at 30 degrees. Or we got pi 6, we have 45 degrees, or pi fourths, and we have 60 degrees, or pi thirds, right? And then this one was root 3 over 2, half, okay, finally a half, root 3 over 2 for that one, okay? So we need to get the rest of this thing, that one, that one, that one, okay? So let's first talk about, well, how much more am I going? How much more here? I'm rotating 90 plus 30, so I'm rotating 120 degrees, right? So I'm at 120 degrees, and you can either multiply that by pi over 180, or you can also say, well, that's pi halves plus how much more? Pi 6 more, right? So you got 3 pi 6 plus 1 pi 6, which is 4 pi 6, 4 pi 6, or 2 pi thirds, okay? 2 pi thirds, okay? So 120 degrees, same thing as 2 pi thirds. The next one, you'd say, well, I'm now 90 plus how much further to the next one? 90 plus 45 degrees more, right? So I got 90 plus 45, 135 degrees. 135 degrees, and I can convert that times pi over 180, or I can go to the side and say, well, that's pi halves plus pi fourths, right? Get that common denominator. 2 pi fourths plus pi fourths is 3 pi fourths. Okay, so this is 135 degrees, or 3 pi fourths, right? And then the next one you'd say, well, it's pi halves plus how much more? Plus 60, right? Again, I'm going not only rotating past 90, I'm going how much further to get to there? 60 degrees more, right? So 90 plus 60, 150 degrees. 150 degrees, or again, 90 plus 60, let me erase those other ones here. 90 plus 60, so I could go pi halves plus pi thirds. Pi halves plus pi thirds. Get that common denominator. 3 pi 6 plus 2 pi 6. 5 pi 6 is the same as 150 degrees. 5 pi 6. That's kind of an ugly 6 there. Okay? Now let's do each of these one by one again. In fact, let's do this right, right to this point since I already have that drawn. Okay? So at this 150-degree mark, how much is left right here? What triangle am I creating here? So you know how you've rotated, I've already rotated 60 degrees past the 90. That leaves me at 30 degrees, right? So I got a 30, 60, 90. 1, 2, root 3, okay? So this will be the point. If I do the cosine, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine is the x. Root 3 over 2, comma, 1 half, right? So I'm using that special right triangle. Now you got to think, well, this is on a unit circle. What point is that? If I go to the left, if I'm going left here, my x value must be negative. So that's actually negative root 3 over 2. My y value is comma half. But we just use this Jimmy, we just kind of Jimmy rig it here. To find our root 3 over 2 and our 1 half. You got to throw in that, hey, my x value there is actually negative root 3 over 2 because it's a location on my unit circle, right? It's a location on the unit circle, but I kind of cheated it with using my right triangles to help me to find where that would be, okay? And then the next one you say, well, let me rotate to right here, 45 degrees past the 90. So I say 45, 45, 90, 1, 1, root 2. Okay, the cosine would be adjacent over hypotenuse, 1 over root 2. Rationalize that. Cosine is the x value. And then you go the sine, which is opposite. Okay, this is my reference angle. Opposite over hypotenuse, 1 over root 2. Rationalize that, root 2 over root 2. But I say my x value, I'm going to the left of the origin. Think about, I got to arrive at this location. So I'm going negative x, negative root 2 over 2, comma, positive y, root 2 over 2. Okay, and then you do the same thing for this one right here. It's going to end up being negative a half, comma, root 3 over 2. Well, not same thing per se, but you draw your triangle here, and you say this is, well, there's 60 degrees left there. Sorry, this is such a mess, but that's a 60, 30, 60, 90 again, right? Erase this. Again, I've rotated to here, right? So how much is left over here to get to that 180? Well, I got 60 degrees left over there, don't I? So it's 30, 60, 90, 1, 2, root 3, right? And then you go at it. You go at it again, okay? This is your reference angle right here, right? That's your reference angle. So the cosine of that 60 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse. That's your x value, 1 over 2. But again, you're going negative x, positive y, right? Positive y for that positive root 3 over 2. So you leave that root 3 over 2. Now, if you notice something here, I really took a while to look at this. So after you've done quadrant 1, you're really pretty money, because if you notice, let me draw this straight over. You see how that's the same, the distance over to this positive a half, and then up root 3 over 2, right? I'm up root 3 over 2 to get this point right here. It's the same distance here, except I go negative a half here, and then positive root 3 over 2. Do you see that? So just draw this over. Draw this over, and you say, okay, same coordinates except the x got to be negative. And then draw this one over, okay? Draw that one over. You see how they're the same except the x value is negative. And then draw this one over right there, okay? You see that negative root 3 over 2 comma 1 half instead of the positive positive, okay? And that's what I would do for each of these. Quadrant 3, okay? So you go ahead and you find this. You say, well, how much further am I? If I rotate, I'm 180 plus 30. Looks like this is going to be at 210 degrees. Or, and I've gone through this, you can just say, wow, that's pi amount plus 30 degrees, right? 180 plus 30, pi, 180 plus 30. So pi plus 30 more degrees. Get a common denominator. Oh, that's 7 pi 6, right? 7 pi 6 is how you would find that. Erase that. But what's the coordinates there? 210 or 7 pi 6? Oh, the coordinates the same as right there, isn't it? So it's negative root 3 over 2, except you got to say I'm negative a half. All right, negative x, negative y there. And then let me draw this one down. Okay, that's 180 plus 45, or 225. 225 degrees, or that is pi plus pi fourths, so 5 pi fourths. Okay, negative root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2, right? This one here, 180 plus 60, what's that give you? 240, or 4 pi thirds. 240 degrees, or 4 pi thirds. And then we got, that would be negative half, negative root 3 over 2, okay? And you're looking right there, boom, see that? Okay, now do 1, 2, 3 here. Okay, go straight over with those. Draw that over. Or if you think about it this way, you draw those down. Same thing, right? Okay, so you got root 3 over 2, comma, half, you say positive x, negative y, right? Let me take this root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. And I say positive x, negative y, right? And then finally right here I go 1 half comma root 3 over 2. Again, that is a positive x, but a negative y right there, negative root 3 over 2 for quadrant 4. Okay, and you say how much further do I go than that 270 to get to this point? You know, if I'm rotating around to get to there, well, I went 30 degrees more, didn't I? 270 plus 30, so this is 300 degrees. Or if you were to do that, multiply by pi over 180, and you get 5 pi thirds. Or you could say 3 pi halves. I could say 3 pi halves plus how much more? 30 degrees plus pi 6, right? You say, oh yeah, that's 9 pi 6 plus pi 6, which is 10 pi 6, or 5 pi thirds. Okay. Next one. You got that root 2 over 2 comma negative root 2 over 2. So that's at 315 degrees, or 7 pi fourths. And then finally you got 330 degrees, or 11 pi sixths. Okay, so that's your development there of the unit circle. We're going to memorize that and have a quiz on that and have you develop the unit circle using your right triangle definitions. Thank you. Have a great day.